Song Revolution with John Chisum on the NRT Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, John here. Thank you for tuning in to Season 2 of Song Revolution. It's a blast to be able to bring you great content, inspirational, informational interviews, and today is no different. My guest today is Kevin McNeese from Boise, Idaho. And Kevin is the founder of New Release Today. You can find him over at newreleasetoday.com. And he's had this platform for about 20 years. We talk about that whole story in this episode. And it is the internet's largest online media outlet for new music. Whether you're an independent artist or you're Toby Mac, it doesn't matter. You're going to be found on NRT, New Release Today. And they have the annual We Love Christian Music Awards that's growing in popularity, and over 300,000 people check in with newreleasetoday.com every month. It's just huge. And what I love about Kevin, he's got a great heart for God, a great heart for the kingdom, and a great heart for independent artists. And we talk about what it takes to create a platform for yourself as a Christian artist on this episode. And we talk about some things that are just realities. And I believe that there's never been a better time to be a Christian communicator than right now. You have more power, more publishing power in your cell phone than we had in the entire record companies 30 years ago. So it's just a great time, but you got to be smart about it. You got to know what you're doing. You got to be investing in the right places. And we talk about that. So this is a very fun, inspirational, encouraging episode today. So if you're an artist or a songwriter and you're wondering, how does this work? This is going to be a great episode for you. So without further ado, here is the founder of New Release Today and my new best friend, Kevin McNeese. All right, Kevin, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This beautiful podcast studio.
Thank you. We call it the Chiz Pod. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of fun. I mean, I never dreamed an 11 by 11, home office could turn into a cool podcast place.
You've done a really nice job.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's kind of fun. Well, we were talking pre-show just about NRT and where this thing has come from. So take us back, man. You've been doing this a minute or two.
Yeah, a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we joke all the time about when you measure life's milestones in decades, you're getting a little old. So we're 2 of them in, 2 decades in.
That's amazing. Why did you start it?
Well, because I love Christian music. I mean, it really came from that passion. I was working at family Christian stores at the retail and managing the music department, and got a job with their headquarters in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yeah.
They were launching a big Christian music site at like the .com boom. So this was 2000, tons of money being poured into this new thing called the internet. And
the worldwide interwebs.
The www dots.
Yeah.
And they hired me to run the music editorial department. So not only did I get to promote Christian music, I got to write about it.
There you go.
Which was kind of cool. And that just morphed into a job in the .com, like familychristian.com, and promoting Christian music and marketing it. And they flew me out to Nashville 3-4 times a year. Got a lot of great content, or a lot of great contacts. And I remember being in, I tell the story a lot, but I remember being in a marketing meeting at Capitol Label Group, which at the time was called EMI, I believe. It was EMI.
EMI,
Yeah. And we were talking about the Avalon O2 record. And they were going, well, we don't know how to reach fans, and we want to use online to do that, but we don't really know what to do. And I was a new kid in the room, young, and I go, why don't you guys just post the release date and let everybody know it's coming? I was like, oh no, we can't do that. We don't want to know. We don't want our competitors to know when this is coming out, when all our releases are coming out. So I went to my boss. I said, well, let's just pre-sell everything. Instead of like 1 or 2 records strategically, let's just pre-sell everything that's coming out online. And then we have to publish the release dates because they need to know when they're going to get their music.
Right.
And we'll make a big deal around it and do a big party on every single Tuesday, and we'll call it New Release Tuesday. And that's how it was born.
Wow.
And
just the need to market and help people know what's what's happening. That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, back then we're still selling physical product like crazy.
Mhm.
You know, we're just shipping it online. This was pre-iPhone, pre-iTunes, pre-Facebook, pre-social media.
Pre-digitalization of the whole world.
Right. Yeah. It feels like so long ago, but really,
Doesn't
I
it?
mean, it wasn't that long ago.
I was telling somebody a story yesterday about the whole thing of breaking down in a car and not even knowing where a phone booth was.
Well, here in Nashville, I mean, I'm visiting here this week, and I was just driving around, and my Maps app stopped working
Oh no.
for like
Oh, my
15
gosh.
minutes, and I was like, I just had to pull over to the side of the road because I'm like, what do I do? Do I go to I might have to buy a physical map, or I don't
Do
even
they
know where
have
to get
those?
one.
Do they even have those anymore?
Yeah, so life just stopped. I just stopped.
It does,
So,
right?
yeah, it's a little strange. We rely on technology pretty heavily now.
So how did it become new release today
Yeah.
from new release Tuesday?
Yeah, well, summer of 2015, the entire music industry, like Christian and mainstream, decided to release music on Fridays instead of Tuesdays. At that point, I had left Family Christian Stores. They let me take it on as my own entity. I think it was like a little,
Oh,
it
okay.
was a little pet project that my boss thought that I was working on just to stay out of his hair. And so he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not going to do anything with this. And yeah, so that Tuesday to Friday move kind of hosed that 13-year-old marketing plan that you had. You're like, okay, this will be an interesting pivot, but we still got to keep the NRT acronym and just moved it more to today, which I think is a lot more fitting to where music is. I mean, music, you can release music any day. And we talk more about music, we talk about videos and how it's impacting your life, which is actually where I think we're pivoting in the future a little bit more now. I think we're going to be doing our third pivot here soon this year. So
To video, you mean? More
no, really just, I mean, the music fan is really being educated more, whether it's by us and our brand or elsewhere on Spotify and Apple Music, on YouTube. They've been coming to us for 20 years to see what's new in Christian music. And I really think that is shifting very quickly now. I think they're now coming to us more educated. They already know, because they're encountering this music elsewhere on playlisting and different places. And so now, how is that new music impacting your today? And it's an editorial shift, a way we present stuff. It's not new releases going in your face on
Okay.
every single section.
Yeah.
And then also we're moving into site redesign this year and going more genre based with all of our content. So I think that'll help people find more music that they love.
Talk a little more about that when you say going genre based.
Well, NRT has always, I mean, our overall mission has been to find as much Christian music that we can find and promote it to as many people that we can find. It's a pretty broad
Right.
statement, and we really don't care about genre as much. So you go to our site, you'll find what's new in AC to pop to rock to worship to rap, and it's all
Right.
kind of shoved together. We currently do not base any of our content on genre, and part of that is just personal preference with the team. And also I think a good song can really impact people. I think Christian music fans are probably a little more forgiving on genre, but as it expands, I do think there are solid niche genres inside of Christian music that people really want to consume and listen to. And so so right now, nothing's kind of genre based. In the future, when our site redesign comes, you will actually be able to go to the site and tell us what genres you like. And then we will serve that content, that genre specific, to you directly.
Oh,
so when you
gotcha.
come to NRT, you will see all the editorial, all the artist interviews and devotionals and new releases and lifestyle stuff that's specific to the genre that you've chosen.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And I subscribe to one of the music industry blogs, and they were talking about how the labels really need to catch up with the whole idea of tribes. And that if they don't do that, they're going to be left in the dust by all the independents, the independent artists who have really developed their tribe.
Well, I think that's already happened, John.
Yeah, do you?
I really do. I think you continue to see the label system shrink and focus on genre. You see it at radio. It's condensing around specific formats, and the fringe formats are continually going away. And so when you get into like the rock and the rap space and the urban space and even the pop space now, very few, you look at the release schedule coming up, we are getting so much worship in AC. And it's sometimes we'll go 2-3 weeks before we get a solid pop song from the label system.
Yeah.
From independents, it's starting to catch up and fill that void. And so, yeah, rap is massively underground and independent. Rock is big time underground and independent, and the labels just are not paying attention. Yet it's still huge hunger for these genres.
Yeah. Talk a little more about the rock thing, because, worship took over, right? And
Sure.
I know people that used to be in bands like Petra and that whole kind of subset. And is that what you're referring to? Is like they have to be independent because the labels aren't paying attention
Oh, sure.
to
Yeah.
that?
Well, I mean, the outlets and the gatekeepers are all gone. So rock radio has dissolved. The Rock Report has dissolved. The labels are not signing rock acts as much anymore. And there's some out there. I mean, Rockfest Records doing tremendous work. Face Down is doing some good stuff. Tooth and Nail still out there. rolling.
Tooth and Nail, man.
Yep, they're still
been
going.
around. Wow.
But even them even a lot of their artists toe that line between mainstream and, faith-based, and which is fine by me. I mean, we need more solid mainstream music out there, that's okay. But yeah, so I and then it's just so easy to get to market now. The problem is how to find those fans and how to build that system on your own.
Right.
But there's a lot of great artists that don't have that label support around them.
And it is easy to post a song, right? I mean, Spotify releases 60,000 songs a day. I didn't make that up.
Well, that's in all of music, right? The numbers that I hear are in the Christian space, 2,500 a week.
Okay.
So 60,000, in all
yeah.
genres across. But even in Christian music, it's 10,000 songs a month.
Right.
And if I'm 100% off, that's still way too many.
Yeah, right.
So I view it. I tell artists, I'm like, you wrote a song, congratulations. So did everybody else. Now what are you going to do with it? It's like taking a little pebble and throwing it into this raging level 5 rapids.
Yeah.
And it's just instantly gone.
Yeah.
Good luck having anybody find that again.
I know, right? I mean, you got to give people a reason to find your music and consume it. And, my deal is songwriting, and that's my background. And, our Nashville Christian Songwriters offers everything from free to premium resources in working with people. And so many of them want to be artists. Some of them, some percentage, 30% maybe want to stay home and write songs and have somebody go out and make them famous. And
that sounds like a lot less work.
That's
that path.
Quite the pipe dream, I guess.
Yeah.
But unless you're amazing and have so many connections, But I wind up working with artists and trying to help develop them and their brand and their voice and their sound and all the messaging. Around them. And it's pretty daunting.
Yeah.
And you work with a lot of independent artists and you're representing them at NRT. And so what are you seeing, if anything, trend-wise in the level of their songwriting? Do you see any difference you've been at this 2 decades?
Yeah.
I'm from the old school that a song really ought to start with a great idea, have a great hook, have a great title, have something emotional and something that really invites you into some space of meaning.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing?
I think you hit it right there at the very end, is meaning. I think what we are getting, the biggest critique that I always hear on Christian music is the lack of depth. It is cast the net wide, don't offend anybody, don't talk about, major issues, make everything vague, reach as many people as you can. Like this song speaks to you and you and you and you and you and you, because it's so vague, right? And so that's where I feel independents are really starting to feel that craft, is latching on to very specific, almost controversial, sometimes, very, I don't know what the word is to say, but just very specific language, and touching on topics that are incredibly emotional. And I think they're written from a place, and they have permission to do it, and they don't have anybody around them saying, no, that's not going to work, or that's not commercial.
Do you have any examples? Anybody that comes to mind right off the top of your head?
Gosh, you're going to put me on the spot.
Yes, I am. That is my job. You're supposed to know all this stuff.
Erin Michelle is great. She's actually releasing a song in a couple weeks just about abortion, which is a pretty hot topic. I mean, good luck getting a label to put a song like that on radio.
Yeah, right.
And it's beautiful, beautiful song about it's not just pro-life and speaking against it. It's just the beauty of life, like celebrating life and the pain of that decision and what's involved in that for someone who may have gone through that. It's seeing people and their struggles and challenges and giving them permission to not be perfect, So that's a recent one that comes to mind. I listen to so much music that's the first example that really comes.
But I think your point is well made, that an independent artist can do what they deem, in their own ministry and expression of themselves, and not have a label dictate what they can or cannot say.
Yeah. That can work for them and against them.
Yeah. Yeah. I was taking the high road.
Yeah. And then as a media site, we've got youth pastors who play our playlists on Wednesday nights, and we've got church leaders who play, and so they're looking to us to vet those lyrics as well, which is incredibly hard to do.
Right.
But for the most part, I would say we're all on the same page.
Yeah. And so many people want to do this. Is that not incredible? I mean, we're thinking about the whole digitalization thing, and any kid in anywhere in the world with a cell phone can post something and have it go viral in half an hour.
Yeah. I mean, we get hundreds of submissions a month. And I make an effort to listen to every single one. I respond to every single one.
No kidding. Yeah, tell us how that works. I didn't know if people just paid you for your services to put their music up. How does that work?
Oh, well, we do survive on advertising. That's how the whole system works at NRT. We've got 300,000 people that hit the site every single month, and I've got a good following and a good brand. I mean, we've been about music discovery for a long time. So I think that speaks very highly or very powerful to the independent artist. We will literally put an unsigned kid making music in his basement right next to Toby Mac.
Yeah.
And you'll see that all the time on our site. And I think for a music fan, if you're spoon-fed the same stuff over and over, which is literally what this industry does everywhere you go, it's refreshing to be able to discover other music, because like we just mentioned, there's just so much coming out. So who's curating that? Who's telling me as a consumer what to listen to?
But you have standards.
We do that.
I mean, you're a gatekeeper, so you're looking for certain.
Every once in a while, a check clears, right?
Yeah. What are you?
Did I say that?
Yeah, right. We're gonna gloss over that and keep going. But what are you looking for? Like
song quality.
Okay.
I mean, I think for me, I listen to a lot of music. And so I can hear a song in 10 seconds and go, okay, this is something that I want to put out there and put on my site.
For the production value and the lyric value and the vocal.
I mean, it's really production and it's production of vocal right away.
Yeah.
I'm not vetting every single lyric line. There's no way.
Right.
But I'm not taking every single lyric line to scripture, and we're letting the audience do a lot of that, but huge production is huge, because if you're going to sit next to Toby Mac, you have to sound good and solid. You have to sound like you know what you're doing. Now that doesn't mean you need $100,000 budget. It just means it needs to make sure it doesn't sound like you recorded this in one take in your mom's basement.
Right.
And I think the audience knows too, but I also think the audience doesn't care. I don't think we care anymore about where music comes from. I don't need to know if a song I'm listening to is coming from a label or not. It just needs to sound good. And so it is a little subjective, yes, but also, when you listen to 500-600 albums a year, you kind of get a good ear for that production.
Yeah, so you've got 300,000, give or take, people that are sampling these independent a variety of artists on NRT every month, and you have that platform as a gatekeeper,
Sure.
right? I mean, so in essence, you're a new digital, 20 years into it, but you are a promoter, I guess. I mean, you're not the label in the sense that you're producing this music, but you are one person or your team who gets to give a little bit of entree to an independent artist. And that's huge these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, marketing is important. I think that's good to just get in front of people, but I believe there's so much more, and that's really what makes us unique. We're one of the few media sites out there that are just all in on content, and I believe evergreen content artists have to be doing.
Tell me what you mean by that.
Marketing is banner ads, and it's emails, and it's social media posts, stuff that comes up and goes down or gets buried very, very quickly. Evergreen content is an artist interview, an album review, a devotional based on one of your songs. And this is content that lives out there, easily findable through SEO. It's not going to come down off of the site. It's going to stay there. So evergreen, it's like a pine tree. It's just always green.
Right.
It's always there and living.
And do you create that, or did the artist?
No, we do that.
Y'all do that,
and we do that as part of really a partnership. I never want to just. I made a joke about it earlier, but I never want to just take a check and cash it.
Yeah,
that is never my intention at all. My intention truly is to walk towards you, get to know you as an artist, and help tell your story, which is what is so powerful and why I'm so passionate about Christian music, is because yes, 3.5 minutes, you can say a lot, but there is so much more behind every one of these songs, whether it's scriptural, whether it's personal, whether it's devotional. There's just so much more to expand. And I think that is where we truly find engagement, where we can create fans for an artist, or the listener can truly get to know the artist's heart and get to know them as a person and follow them for what's next. That's what's so hard to do in this digital space. You barf up a song on Spotify, and someone encounters it on a playlist. How are they connecting to you? They aren't. So I talk to a lot of artists that have like 1,000 plays on song 1, 1.4 million plays on song 2, 75 plays on song 3. And it's like, we're not building a brand here. We're just getting lucky.
Yeah.
And we want to do more than just get lucky. And so that's what hopefully we're helping to do. That was a long answer.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So, I know that your heart is so kingdom, and your heart is really good around this to support and help these artists to connect into their audience. That's I think it's not only noble of you, like altruistic, but you actually have your Christian artist program where you help develop your CAP program that you have there, really representative of your desire to see people do exactly what you just said, to connect into an audience, to build a tribe. Take us into that a little bit. What would you say? How do you encourage those who would really want to build their own audience?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking about that. It's christianartist.pro, really birthed recently in the past 3-4 years, maybe, just out of hundreds of conversations that I've had with independent artists doing all of what we just talked about. Again, not cashing checks, walking towards partnership and getting to know them, and then just learning what their challenges are, what their dreams are, what are they aspiring to be, identifying how much of that is realistic and how much of that is just gloss of the industry, and then helping them realistically go after attainable goals that they can accomplish today with next to nothing. And there's so much to do. One of the hardest things I think for independent artists is just knowing what to do next.
Yeah, right.
There's so much opportunity out there. And there's also a lot of people trying to get into their pocketbooks. And so there's a lot of challenges to overcome some of those hesitations and walls. Maybe they've been burnt before. Maybe they're just chasing the wrong things, and go, this is a slow build. This is not an overnight success industry. Very rarely, if ever. Well, I shouldn't say if ever, but rarely.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, we have Katie Nicole right now, but she was posting. I don't know if TikTok was around 6 or 7 years ago, but
she's been at it for a while.
She's been at it since she was 14.
Yeah, and lightning can strike.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you really can't plan for it.
Right.
So what do you do
what do you do in the meantime while you're sitting around waiting for lightning to strike? You work your butt off. There's a lot of stuff to do. And so really christianartist.pro came from all these conversations and just recognizing all the things that most artists are not doing, spending time figuring out who they are as a person. And then how does that apply to an artist? What do they want to communicate? Finding their audience, making sure that we're not just writing songs and throwing it out there and hoping someone will listen to it.
Right.
And then
Which is what most people do, right,
Sure.
Kevin? I mean,
right. But I mean, you're going to be a better songwriter if you identify all that in the back end. These are things you're not sharing with people. These are things for you, that help you. And then once you have that song, what do you do with it? How, like the content building and the engaging the audience. And so, a CAP is a 9-session, 100-page online course that you can sign up for and take at your time. There's worksheets at the very end that you can print out, and it gives you action items. It gives you brainstorming tips. And we've had about 200 artists go through it at some level. Personally, have coached 24 artists. That's one-on-one coaching. It's new, but it's been very rewarding.
But songwriters and artists don't have a path. They don't. There's not. I mean, people ask, how do you make it? How do you make it? And it's like, there's no one size, fits all kind of thing. There's not one path to success. There are principles that we can engage in. And I just think it's awesome that you're bringing that through that program. And we've had to start teaching on that kind of thing, artist development. And we had a workshop and a webinar that we did last year called God Gave Me a Song, Now What? And it just really kind of, I mean, my lane has been songwriting, but I've just felt compelled to begin to deal with this because of the great hunger out there for people who desire to communicate. And in that workshop and webinar, we talk about the 4 main categories, if you will, of discovering your mission, like you said, and then building those skills, and then production, getting the right kind of production, and then finding the audience, engaging with the audience that's hungry, for your ministry. And I'm gonna pick on something just a little bit because I've got this for a moment. See what you think.
All right.
I would say that 90% or more of the people that I've encountered who really Christian songwriters and would-be artists don't think they need help. They're confused, they're lost, they want this, they fantasize about it, but, they don't think they really need help, specifically in their songwriting. And I don't know if you encounter that with the artists, but it's like there's this kind of faux spirituality around it, and they were like, no, God gives me my songs. And it's like, well, too bad you're not a better songwriter, or too bad God can't write great songs, It's like, or don't blame that on God, because it's right. I mean, some of this is so pitiful, and you're thinking this person is so sincere. Maybe they have some talent, maybe they don't, but they want this so badly, but they just seem so resistant to the right kind of help. Do you find that?
I just take personal responsibility for it. Honestly, I wear that not personally, but I just think that's on us because they don't know. They don't know because we're not out there screaming loud enough to them and teaching them and showing them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that age old. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So I kind of see it less as, I'm the best and I know what I'm doing, and more as I literally don't know what to do. So therefore I think I'm doing what I need to be doing. And the reason why I think that is because when we sit down with artists and we talk with them and have one-on-one conversations or group settings, like you literally see the light bulbs go off and the locks click. And then it's almost like now you have permission to figure out some next steps. Because all they see is the gloss. They see the tours, they see the photo shoots, they see the same old 20 songs on K-Love, they see the radio and the festivals, all the things. What they don't see is all the hard work and the next steps and all the independent artists who are doing great things because our industry does not rally around them We are really, truly one of the few sites that are even giving independent artists a platform. And so people don't see that.
Right.
They just see the big stuff. And so they go, well, there's what I'm going to be doing. And there's no, I was talking to an artist family the other day, and he's like, well, we just, like, the world doesn't care that we exist. How do we get the world to care that we exist? Like, the world has no clue that you exist, but your little circle does. And so the world is all the way up here at the top, and you're down here at the bottom, and how you're going to get at the top is, and I started just doing these little hashtags, and I got to about 50, and they were just sitting there watching me, and I wasn't saying a thing. Just making it. I looked up and I'm like, you want me to keep going? Are you getting this yet? We're at about 75 hashtags, and we're about a fourth of the way up the page. The world's not going to care about you. And honestly, you shouldn't be caring about the world caring about you. You should be caring about who's in front of you and how that person, how this group of people care about you.
Conquer your city first.
There you go.
And then move from there. Yeah.
But they don't know that, right? And so I think it just takes people loving in the independent music community, the artist, the artist who is doing great stuff, but just needs help doing it better.
Yeah. And I think people are often really in denial about the financial aspect of really becoming successful at anything, right? And often when I'm talking with a potential artist or writer, that I'm telling them about our programs, it's like, if you don't have something worth exporting, nobody's going to care. You've got to have the product. You've got to have the song that's going to move people to stream it or buy it or whatever. And I'm often met with resistance around that. And then the production has cost, marketing has cost, but it's a business. There is a business to music, whether you're independent or on a label or whatever. If you want to be good and reach people, there is an investment.
I mean, you're amazing at what you do as far as teaching people how to write a song. I don't know that. I don't know how to write a song. I just know what
Oh, I can teach you.
Good. That's one of my dreams. But I do know how to know who you are and how to define your brand and how to create content. And I think all that process makes you a better songwriter. My point, it just takes practice. Very few artists are going to write a hit song right off the bat without just a lot of subpar songs,
Exactly.
And I think that's probably what you see a lot is artists come to you with a lot of subpar stuff.
Absolutely.
And you're like, okay, let's level up.
But they love it. They love it.
So they just
and that's the hard part, is that they're deeply in love with these songs that will not see the light of day.
So you're a dream crusher. That's what you
I
are.
am that. I'm a puppy killer, man. I drown these puppies real fast with these guys. But, I came to Nashville many, many years ago to take a job that fell through, and we had $40 and no place to live. We were homeless before that was a thing, and we didn't have to live on the streets, and God provided, of course. But I wound up meeting Bill Gaither and Gary McSpadden, who were icons in the industry. We stand on their shoulders in a huge way. They listened to some pitiful songs of mine, and God shut their ears, and they signed me to a publishing deal, and I wrote 5 nights a week and did odd jobs to survive, throwing papers out of the car window at 3 a.m. for $60 a week. And
Wow.
I would take my little Jesus-y songs to Bill Gaither, Gloria Gaither, Gary McSpadden, and others, and they were so kind, and they would look at those songs and they would say, yeah, it's really nice, but who's going to care about this? And who's going to care about this in 100 years? And because they asked me those questions, I now have a song and a couple of hymnals, and that,
But how many songs did you write before that?
I don't think I was that prolific, but before I got that song in the hymnals, probably hundreds.
Yeah.
And
Over years, right?
But it's because of those questions.
Got it. Yeah.
And I always say, ask yourself better questions and you'll get better answers.
That's good.
But you've got to expand your thinking about what you're doing. Get out of some of the spooky spirituality around it, right? Put your hand to the plow, use the gifts you have to the maximum and get help, get coaching, get artist development coaching, get songwriting coaching. You know, I have coaches all over the place, man. I pay big money for people to help me do what I do because I want to be a success, and I want to be open to that. And I love the fact that you're providing education along with this opportunity for independent artists. I think it's just so valuable. And yeah, thank you for that, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah. What would you say, what's the one thing you would say to somebody listening today that are dreaming of being the next Katie Nicole or Ann Wilson or Zach Williams? What's the one thing you would say to them?
Serve. Just serve. Like, get out of yourself and show up and just love people and serve. It'll find you good life experience to write about. You'll make some great friends that want to return a lot of favors, and it'll keep you humble. Yeah. So that's probably what I would do first.
So good, bro.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Kevin McNeese, new release today. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us on the show today. I hope that you'll jump over to NashvilleChristianSongwriters.com and check out all the resources there to encourage you in your own songwriting. And if you like what we're doing, why not share this episode out on your socials? You can find the link in the show notes. We'll see you next time.